Good evening, everyone. I will call this special meeting of the Fundy Albert Council for November 14th, 2024 to order. First matter of business is the adoption of the agenda. The agenda for this special meeting of council for November 14th was circulated in advance. I'll accept a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated. So moved by Councillor Elderkin. Seconded by Councillor Land. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor signify by stating aye. Opposed, if any? The motion's carried. Any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to this meeting? There being none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is a motion to adopt the Fundy Albert on-call policy. So draft on-call policy has been circulated for your review prior to this meeting. It requires a resolution of council if we are to adopt it as Fundy Albert's official policy. So if someone would be so kind as to read the motion, please. Is there someone?
Whereas the municipality of Fundy Albert does not have formal on-call policy for its employees, and whereas an on-call policy is required to ensure continuous operations, be it resolved that the Council of Fundy Albert adopt the document titled an on-call policy for the Village of Fundy Albert effective immediately. Be it further resolved that the on-call policy be made available for public review on the Fundy Albert website in hard copy of the municipal law.
So moved by Councillor Elderkin. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Elderkin, any comments?
Yeah, just a couple of comments for me is the, do we know yet where the funding is coming from this? And it's effective immediately. So is there enough money in the budget for this fiscal year to cover it?
So we have the Chief Administrative Officer here this afternoon to answer any of those questions. So
yes, there's money available for this year, and it has been factored into the budget document for discussion for 2025.
And is it clearly just for the water subunits, like for the water? Is that where the funding will come from the water? I'm not getting my word
There
right.
were supplementary documents that I sent after the meeting last week that showed where the salaries for public works employees are already allocated. So that would be, it would come from the pool of salaries for public works employees with that already working in the background.
That would be just part of that.
Yes.
Okay. And
because they would be responding to more than just water calls. So if there was anything else that came up, like the heat and the Red Albert Rec Center or the things of that nature, they'd be responding and have been responding to those things. It's not always.
And my only other question was in here that if they get a call for an on-call, they are the ones that determine whether they need to go or not, or does another manager have to approve the
Call out.
the call? Yeah,
so
thank you.
If it's considered critical, they would have the authority to deal with it immediately. Again, if it's a water issue, they would be, there are measures in place in our certificate to operate that says that they would have to talk to the water. I'm going to get all the titles wrong. So the certified operator, which is head of Yale at the moment. So it would be in a discussion with Heather on a water issue on whether a call out is necessary. If it came down to a public works one, if it was again critical, they could make the decision on their own, or they could call their supervisor, the director.
And is that how it's been handled up to now? Thank you.
okay, anyone else?
Yes.
Councillor Land.
If you have somebody on call for the week, is what you're trying to do, 7-hour or 7-day period, and you're rated for one lump sum amount for that time. If they go to work during that time, does that cut into that extra money that they're already being paid?
So the on-call hours are only after core business hours. So if they work at 8 to 4, they don't get on-call pay for 8 to 4. They only get the on-call pay in the hours that are not part of their regular work schedule.
Say at midnight there was a water line break, you had to call somebody in, so they come in for the 4 hours. Do they get the full lump sum of the on-call pay for the week plus those 4 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
The on-call is just to be on the standby for when an incident happens. That includes, looking through the SCADA system on a regular basis, answering any alarms that may come up in the SCADA system. And if it happens that they need to be called out, then they get paid additional for the call out. And the call out is either it's 3 hours of minimum wage or their full salary for anything less than the 3 hours, whichever is the greater.
Okay,
And that's for provincial legislation.
and also they have to have certain qualifications, I see. How many people do you have qualified?
3 currently.
There's 3 currently? So basically it'd be a 3-week rotation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a few questions.
Yes, the Deputy Mayor.
Let's just see here. The first off is I think that the new policy needs to rescind the old policy. It doesn't do that.
There is no old policy. There's a line in the employee manual from 2005.
Yeah.
So we're counting this as a new, and we're redoing the policy at some point. So I don't know how to rescind all of this Village of Hillsborough employee manual because this is only one small portion of it.
I would have just rescinded that provision. I think I made a note on my phone of the number it is from the, it is there, right? It talks about, it's not even the $50 it actually talks about. It talks about $40, the one that's there. It's 323 of the currently the 2005 employee policy for Hillsborough is the one that refers to, it's really only this, under the current policy, the one in force, it's only the salaried employees who are getting it said $40 and the hourly employees weren't getting anything. And I think that's what this is trying to rectify. What I'm trying to figure out exactly is how the call out and who has the authority to call for the call out. Is it really the person on call?
They have a certain degree of discretion to know whether this is considered an emergency situation or something that can wait. They also have they're available to them are their supervisors.
Yeah.
So if it happens to be the director of operations or if it happens to be the water operator, they would be in a conversation with those people before making any decision.
And is it true that we currently have 3 people who are capable of responding to this kind of thing? Okay.
We have 3 employees who have taken the necessary training to be water operators and can be on call as a result of that training.
Okay. I guess that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councillor Ward Russell.
Percent sure, but I believe there was a motion, over the last year that we were going to accept the Hillsborough policy as the Hillsborough employee policy or handbook as our approved policy. So I'm not sure if I agree with the first sentence in the motion that there is no policy, because there is a policy that we should be following and we have approved to follow. So I'm not sure how you can, you need to, if we're gonna still continue to use everything else in that employee handbook, except this one clause, then that should probably be updated somehow. I'm not sure how you go with that, but that would be a comment.
Well, procedurally, there could be an amendment to the motion to change a word and remove a word. And it says you could simply replace it by saying that the municipality of Fundy Albert has an outdated on-call policy for its employees. So that would require a motion to amend that would replace does not have a formal on-call policy with the municipality of Fundy Albert does not have an updated on-call policy for its employees. This is kind of the stuff that we should come prepared to the meetings with. Whereas the amendment, the proposed amendment would need to be to remove the words does not have a formal and replace it with the municipality of Fundy Albert does not have an updated on-call policy for its employees. Yes,
We instead just say that this policy replaces section 3.2 of the Hillsborough.
this is starting to get very complicated and convoluted. The motions, so we can either, you can either scrap this entire thing and come up with a new one, but it requires you to do it on the fly.
Or could we table it and do it at our next meeting? This is already. a
This
bit
is,
rushed.
this is against the advice of the CAO, who say that our employees are looking for some guidance from council and right away. Yes,
What was your suggestion?
That this policy replaces section 3.2 of the manual employee policy of employment.
Sounds simple to me.
so what is your proposed amendment?
I would propose that
It would remove something and add to it. That's what this is about. It's a formal amendment, and it requires either replacing an entire section, sentence and replace it with something else.
okay, whereas the municipality of Fundy Albert replaces. I don't even know how to word that now, but I agree with what you said. Somebody else wants to get a shot at it. Whereas the municipality of Fundy Albert does not have a current formal on-call policy for its employees, that we replace section 3.2
This
with proposed,
will ask the clerk to record that and then reread it.
please.
So are you replacing anything by that? So are you suggesting we remove the first sentence of the amendment?
Sure, let's remove the first and reword that.
Okay. First sentence. So completely remove that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we are going to say. Where are you saying then that we replace this with section? Do you want to read it all to me in the right order?
He
and I'll
doesn't
write
have it written.
Fine, listen.
So for future reference, if you're going to propose an amendment, have it written so it's clear. It could be whereas a current on-call policy is required to ensure continuous operations. You can then continue with the other two, be it resolved and be it further resolved, and be it further resolved that the on-call policy will replace section 3.2.3 of the Hillsborough employee policy.
We'll replace section
3.2
3.2
of the
3.2.3.
3.2.3 of
of
the current Village of Hillsborough employee policy.
I think it's called it's called the manual.
Is it?
Called the employee policy.
It's called policy.
Oh, yeah, employee policy,
Yep.
that's correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna read
So
this. Okay?
reread it so that, and we have to first vote on the motion to amend.
Yeah, so the first part is gone, so
Well,
whereas,
the amendment would remove the
Right.
first, so it would
right,
remove.
so this is what the amended proposal would be. Whereas a current on-call policy is required to ensure continuous operations, be it resolved that the Council of Fundy Albert adopt the document titled On-Call Policy for the Village of Fundy Albert, effective immediately. Be it further resolved that the on-call policy will replace section 3.2.3 of the current Village of Hillsborough employee policy and be made available for public review on the Fundy Albert website and in hard copy at the municipal office.
Okay. So there has to be an amendment. So the amendment would remove, whereas the municipality of Fundy Albert does not have a formal on-call policy for its employees. That's part one. The second will be after the word on-call policy in the last, be it further resolved, we will add, will replace section 3.2.3 of the current Village of Hillsborough employee policy. So the motion to amend is to remove the first and to add that at the location that I've identified. So that's moved by Councillor Jonah. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Land. On the motion to amend, all in favor signify by stating aye. Opposed, if any. Motion's carried unanimously. So now the motion reads, whereas a current on-call policy is required to ensure continuous operations, be it resolved that the Council of Fundy Albert adopt the document titled On-Call Policy for the Village of Fundy Albert effective immediately. Be it further resolved that the on-call policy will replace section 3.2.3 of the current Village of Hillsborough employee policy and be made available for public review on the Fundy Albert website and in hard copy at the municipal office. So that is the amended, now the amended motion to be voted on. Any questions on that? If not, yes.
Yeah, I actually would like to just go back to the table that was provided in the additional info. That would be the table that looked like that, just for you that may have seen that. Am I to understand correctly that what this table is showing is the percentage of their salary or wage that is attributed to the utility budgets? That's what that is. Okay. And the remaining, it's more than attributed just to the former villages, or is it not?
Public works ones would be only for the former villages. Other salaries, like mine, for an example, would be across all. I have to double check with that, but I know public works is definitely only among.
But how does that work, for instance, for the rink? Where that's a shared expense and it's staffed by public works employees.
I'd have to get back to you, maybe correct on that one, I'll have to get back to you.
I believe there's a portion, and I may be incorrect, but I believe there's a portion of administrative expenses that are attributed to the utilities as well.
Yeah, but it's actually, it's these public works employees that are affected by this policy, the new policy, the on-call, and it's still, I share with some of the other counselors that it's still a little bit fuzzy here where this new expenditure that we hadn't had before that is notionally necessary to maintain 24/7 operations, but where exactly it's being attributed to in terms of subunits, for instance. And I don't think this, because that answer, it doesn't really make sense that public works are only being either shared between a utility or the three former municipalities, when we've got all this recreation facilities that are using resources from.
And I probably misspoke. If I was to ask for a report from the treasurer, I'm sure we have something that's detailed. When I was thinking in my head, I wasn't thinking about the arena and the municipal areas, and sure. But I do know there's money shared all over for salaries for that they're attributed.
There could conceivably be a call out to the arena if the plant broke down and they needed to get it fixed right away. Conceivably, and that would be a shared expense.
The power outages would be another shared expense we had. that we experienced last year. Public Works was here, there, and everywhere's, but it wasn't attributed to a water issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be, I realize this is morphing a little bit beyond the on-call policy and it's getting into really the budget discussion stuff. So it'll be very interesting to get to the bottom of this next week, I think. I think it matters to us.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any questions before I call for the vote? Yes, Counselor.
Not that it's gonna stop the vote today, but going forward, you know, for information purposes only, we could be shown what this actual increase is going to, what it's going to do to utility, users from Elma Riverside and how it's going to increase the tax rate for them. It'd be interesting to see what this is going to do to that. So it'd be possible to.
Yeah, it may increase the utility rate, but it won't increase the tax rates. Yeah.
I think for information purposes only, it'd be good to have.
Yep. And I personally ran similar numbers today that I took the delta increase in costs, which was per week, multiplied it by 52, divided it by the number of effective water user units, which is, it's getting close to 1,100 for all three systems combined. So you're getting close to $20 per water unit extra bill to ensure that there's someone who's going to answer the phone and respond at any time for those users of water and wastewater.
That's under your assumption, I'm assuming that 100% of it is being billed to the through water.
Correct.
Right.
That's right.
And that's based on the current rates, because the policy changed if there's a rate increase, an hourly rate.
Correct. That was based on the information that was provided in the council report.
Right.
Yeah. But it's in that order, right?
Unfortunately, it's a cost of doing business, and it's a cost that if we don't approve, we could find ourselves on permanent boil water vouchers. It's something that, I mean, the payment of $50 to be on call for a week was ridiculous. And
in fact, it was 40, right? Actually,
it was 40, but at one point there was
Something
one individual was being paid 50. So anyway, any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion to adopt the motion as was reread, signify by stating aye. Opposed, if any. The motion's carried unanimously. So thank you very much. We do have a closed session item to discuss, so I will accept a motion to go into closed session. So moved by Councillor Jonas, seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? Not, all in favor, signify by stating aye. Opposed, if any. Motion's carried unanimously.